they'll also say Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is like the feminine presence of God. It's connected to the word Shechen, which is neighbor, which means this feminine presence is very close to us, like a neighbor. So even closer, as a matter of fact. So, but it implies closeness. So the Jews will talk about these things, Mikael, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, and the Shekhinah above. And I asked my friend, Livnat Sion, who's a great teacher and channeler, I asked her, well, who is the being, the entity that that blesses us from below? And she went into her silence to receive the answer, and she got the answer, Pan. Okay, Pan, who of course in Greece he was known as the god of nature, and Pan exists, and his name, the sound of his name expresses exactly who he is and what he does. He's also the spirit of nature, spirit of youth, as symbolized by Peter Pan, but also the spirit of nature, which is larger than only the spirit of youth. So I'd like to talk about Mikael and so on. Okay, now Mikael in Hebrew, it means who is like God. And they say, well, Solara says, and not only Solara, the great important New Age teacher, Solara says that we have an energetic sword that, if it's in its proper place, is worn on our right hip, as if we had a sheath for a real sword on our right hip, which is the most common place where people traditionally wear swords. An energetic sword. That is, also we have energetic wings. But I'm referring to the sword. And this sword is our sword of truth. It connects us to the sword of Mikael. Mikael is always represented as holding the sword of truth. And he's connected with the flame, the blue flame, which is connected to mercy, but also truth. And also sometimes to the gold flame. So anyway, Mikael has his sword of truth, and Mikael is responsible, says the keys, for creating our local universe. And our Solaris says that over our many incarnations, we've become afraid of our power because we've abused our power, and that there have been times in previous incarnations and in this one where we take our energetic sword, which we're very uncomfortable with, it's our personal power, and we stick it into some part of our body. So if we're afraid of our sexuality, maybe we'll stick it into that part. Or if we feel guilty, how we've abused because of food, or how we've we could stick that energetic sword into many different parts of our body, including our head, including our heart, if we feel guilty, if we have a heavy heart. And so when people come to her, sometimes she sees them that they have their sword stuck into their body out of guilt, out of fear of their own power. They've done this to themselves, not consciously. And so she helps them to understand that they have an energetic sword stuck in the middle of their chest, and that they need to pull it out and put it where it belongs, in its sort of sheath on the right hip, and to use their sword of truth and to connect with Mikael and to be one of the legions of Mikael, which is all our destiny, to be legions of truth, legions of light, legions of the one Creator who's inside of us. So Mikael, in the sound of his name, it's coded. That sound, that name, that me at the beginning. If you notice, the mouth is wide with the M sound at the beginning, and then it's a long, elongated, extended point of the E. In Hebrew, it's Mikael, okay? That E is extended, as if it's a point extended, and that's actually forms a sword. You have the wide, long part, which is the handle, and then the blade, which is the sharp point that penetrates. That's in his name. It's coded in his name. Mikael. It means in Hebrew, who is like God? And this question represented, which he represents in his very name, who is like God? That that question that he asks, that's his sword, you see. Who is like God? But when he asks that question, well, you see, Mikael, as I understand, he looks around the universe, he sees beauty everywhere, he sees the truth. Even if somebody's in darkness, that's just a sort of a bad dream they've been hypnotized into. He sees the beauty deep within. And that razor, that sword-like penetration to see the truth, he sees a being, and he knows the truth of the being, the beauty at the core, and he knows it's God, because all comes from the one. So he can see that's his sort of truth. Mikael, that me energy, he sees who they really are, and he helps them to connect with who they really are. That's his sort of truth. It's coded in the first part of his name. And me is connected to water, the mem, and like I say, the color blue, and mercy. And Ka is sometimes connected with fire, actually. It's also the double in the Egyptian theology. The energy body, the etheric body that travels around, our double, our spirit double, which is made out of, if you will, etheric fire. And the Ka, the Hathors say that the east is Ka, the south is El, the west is Lin, the north is Om. Well, the Ka is the east where the sun rises. Again, Ka is the sun rising. It's the fire energy. So Mi Ka, the balance, and then you have the El, which is the El conversion system, connecting all 12 directions. So, Mikael, it's a tremendous mantra. It's a tremendous source of power. When you say Mikael and you understand what those letters and sounds mean, and you connect with those coded meanings in the parts of his name, it's a tremendous blessing. So there's also, to my understanding, a finger mudra connected to Mikael, source of power. When you connect your thumb and your index finger, that's the energy of Mikael. That index finger is all about pointing. When you point with your index finger. And so when you connect thumb and first finger, index finger, and say Mikael, that's the energy system of Mikael. It's in that sword energy is in that mudra. Now he's on the right, okay? For most people, the right side is the power side. You write with your right. You kick. If you're right-handed, you do everything with your right hand. It's that pointedness. It's that sword energy. For most people, it's on the right, and so Mikael is on the right. And you could even say Mikael is the right, because we're all holograms. We are holograms of all that is. All that exists in us. And for all things, it's that way. Everything is a hologram. So Mikael is in me. He's not just outside of me. And his energy is very much represented on my right, though it would also be on my left, but more so on my right. So let's talk about Gavriel, okay? This amazing being, Gavriel. They say that Gavriel is the guardian of the ascension flame, and his flame is white, and it goes up. And if we want to ascend into the higher dimensions, like so many ascended masters have done, and like we can, easier in this time than any other time, according to what everyone knows, more or less. He's the guardian. We need to work with Gavriel, and his name is coded. His name is coded. So the first part of his name, Gav. In Hebrew, Gav means back. Okay, it's our backbone. He comes second. First comes Mikael. It's that leading, pointed energy that directs the way, that sees God, who is like God. But Gavriel is the back. Okay, he's got our back. He's got our back. And Gav means back. It also means Gever. Gever in Hebrew means man. It's that powerful man energy, Gavriel. So he's, again, a real man. He's got his back. He's got your back. He'll protect you. It's the protective energy of the male. So